Okay, good morning, everybody. Appreciate everybody jumping on this morning for this very important announcement from the Texas Rangers Baseball Foundation. We have quite an honored list of guests that will be participating this morning as we pay tribute to a new initiative that will honor Charley Pride. As all of you know, Charley Pride, obviously the country music world mourned his passing, but the Texas Rangers organization lost a dear friend who's been involved with us for almost 50 years. So to kick the program off today and to serve as your moderator and to be describing the program a little bit, I'd like to turn it over to the Texas Rangers Director of Community Impact, Ray Casas.
Thank you, John, and thank you all for joining us this morning. Today is a very special day in the history of Texas Rangers baseball. We have some very special guests joining us this morning, and they'll all be speaking with you in just a few minutes. Speaking of a few minutes, if we can all just keep our remarks as brief as possible, we'll be able to get through everyone. But first, I'd like to share a message by our co-chairman and managing partner of the Texas Rangers Baseball Club, Mr. Ray Davis. Mr. Davis is traveling today, but he wanted to make sure that we shared his message with all of you.
Today is a very special day for the Texas Ranger Foundation and the entire Ranger organization as we announce the creation of a very special program that furthers the Ranger mission of supporting the future of our game on and off the field. Personally, the Charley Pride Fellowship Program celebrates the day and the legacy of my friend Charley Pride and all that he was about, and we continue to tell his story and support his legacy. I'm thankful to Rozene and the entire Pride family for allowing us the privilege to commemorate Charley in this way. And yes, Charley, I'm a Sagittarian.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. It is now my pleasure to introduce the President of Business Operations and Chief Operating Officer of the Texas Rangers, Mr. Neal Liebman.
Thank you, Ray. Good morning. The Rangers Foundation has been committed to diversifying the game of baseball on the field for many years, which is evident in the work we do at the Texas Rangers Major League Baseball Youth Academy. The Charley Pride Fellowship Program represents a commitment from both the Rangers Foundation and the Texas Rangers organization to diversify the game of baseball off the field and in the front office. This program and our commitment to it is a direct result of listening to our employees and players starting last summer and our commitment to continue that conversation. Personally, the Charley Pride Fellowship Program celebrates the life and legacy of my friend Charley and all that he stood for, and we will continue to tell his story and champion his legacy. I am extremely thankful to Rozene and the Pride family for allowing us to share Charley for all these years, to show our admiration today and appreciation for Charley. Thank you, Rozene.
And thank you, Neal, for that. We appreciate it. You know, last year was a difficult year for all of us, going through the social unrest that happened in this country, the murder of George Floyd, and COVID running rampant through our community. With everything going on, a few of my colleagues approached me and approached our social impact department. And one of the questions that kept coming up was, how can we improve our baseball club? How can we improve our community? How can we improve our country? And thanks to the leadership of Mr. Liebman and Mr. Davis, we were able to create the Inclusion and Community Impact Council. And this council was started late last summer in August. And through this council, we've been answering a lot of tough questions, and we've been doing a lot of listening. Listening is something that we've been focused on since everything happened last summer and all the things that our community's gone through. And one of the things that we wanted to address was, how can we create and foster and develop a diverse pipeline of talent and attract them to come and work in Major League Baseball, more specifically the Texas Rangers Baseball Club. And one of the things that I came up with last year was a fellowship program, a 10-week fellowship program that would introduce young people, rising juniors and seniors in college, to take a look and have an experience like no other. Not just a regular internship program. We're working on substantive programs and projects, working with our front office from every department that you can think of, from business analytics to baseball operations to advertising, social media, marketing, and giving them a real taste of what it's like to work in a major league office. There was only one person that I could think of to name this program after. And unfortunately, he's not here with us today. We wanted to celebrate Charley's birthday today by naming this program in his name. Charley embodied love, kindness, and inclusion. One of my favorite quotes that Charley would always say is, "There's enough room for everybody in country music." If he was with us today, we know he would say also, "There's enough room for everybody in Major League Baseball." Charley just wanted a chance. He just wanted an opportunity. I think that's what we all want at the end of the day. He believed in giving people an opportunity to shine. And in just a few minutes, you're going to hear from Mr. Neal McCoy, who was on the receiving end of Charley's kindness. So today we continue to listen. We continue to get better. And thanks to this program, Mr. Pride's legacy will continue to live on, impacting young people today that will get opportunities that will help this community, Major League Baseball, and this country. At this time, it is my absolute honor to introduce Charley's wife, Miss Rozene Pride.
Thank you. It's an honor to have the program name. I'm here with my son, Dion, who has been a great supporter and a comfort to me. This program is something that I feel that the Texas Rangers need. And I'm so glad to see them do it and name it for Charley, because he loved the Texas Rangers and he enjoyed being around the baseball players. That was one way I think that he said to keep him going, and also he said it keeps me young, Rozene. And I said wonderful. And I want to thank the artists who, this is wonderful talent that has joined us this morning to welcome the program in Pride's honor. It's so wonderful to have artists think enough of him to give a few minutes of their time to him. And thank the Rangers and the sponsors of the program. And I know it is needed in the community, and the young men, women who will benefit from the program, I'm sure will gain a lot of knowledge and experience from it. And it's something that we can all say that is wonderful for a community, because we need diversity in all organizations. We don't need to see, Pride and I have spoke often about going to meetings and things, and we were the only minorities there. We would love to see more minorities work for the Rangers. And I think this is a wonderful program. Thank you. Dion, do you want to say something?
No, Mom, I believe you covered it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Pride, and thanks to your family. You all continue to be an inspiration to so many. We miss Charley, and we know that we'll continue to see you for many years to come.
I hope so. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Charley's dear friend and fellow artist, Mr. Neal McCoy.
Hey, everybody. I'm hoping you can hear me. Opportunity, I think Ray hit the nail on the head when he said Charley was always just looking for opportunity for anybody. And if he could help somebody with either through baseball or through music, he did that. And I am a living example of that. And that Melinda and I, my wife and I, often say that if there wasn't ever been a Charley Pride, there would have never been a Neal McCoy, because I would have probably floundered around and ended up singing somewhere, wherever I could sing. It's what singers do. But I would have never had the opportunity to get to the level I have gotten to. And that is because of Charley, him and his wife, Rozene, who took my wife and I under their wing 40 years ago. And Charley, after he'd met me, he had already been influential in helping a lot of artists get started and off to soaring careers. And he basically said, I tell you what, why don't we do this? I'll get the guys who work in Chardon, my booking and management agency. We'll sign you, and then I'll take you on the road with me some when I need an opening act. And I said, you got to be kidding me. My wife and I remember after meeting that the first time we met Charley and Rozene, for him to take that approach. And he said, and you'll use my band. He said, I know you don't need a band. He said, just use my guys. They'll learn a few things, whatever you want to learn, and then you go out and do it. And then when you get done, I'll come out and sing. He made it sound so simple and so easy. And it was that simple and easy. That's the thing with Charley. When you talk to him and when you were around him, he tried to make things easier. And so I think that's why he ended up having John Daines as his road manager. I have followed the same pattern with him. I have Les as my road manager and my manager, and that if you need something, call John, who will, in Charley's case, call John. He'll reach out to me and we'll give you an answer on it. And so he wanted things to be simple, because I think those things work better for him, and he knew they really would work better for everybody. So we had patterned my organization. My wife and I patterned everything we did after Charley and Rosene's organization. Rozene would tell us things, and we did everything just like them. So to be here in Charley's honor and be one of the guys that y'all chose to spoke after he started me 40 years ago is a huge deal for me. And going back to the opportunity, he took me out, and he's the guy that gave me the avenue to learn what I do and what I can figure out on stage and how to treat people and how to act. And I love him for that. And you talking about talent, the talent of him and the talent that Rozene said that is up here with Larry and with Garth and me being on here. One of the most talented guys is standing right behind Rozene. Dion is just was a champ of a guitar person and a singer. And he's had the opportunity to go out and people are getting a chance to hear him. And he's been doing that for quite a while. And he's been working away at it. And I know he probably, just like a son, would say, look, I want to do this on my own. And he's done it on his own. You know, obviously people know who he is, but he's a great talent. I remember Dion and I working together with Charley out on the road in Australia and England and wherever we were. And he was a big runner. Dion was a runner. He'd run for about 6 or 7 miles without stopping. I'd run one and stop and breathe and try and catch him on the next lap around. I was just doing best I could, but and this is just such a wonderful day for me. On March 18th, I'm wearing my I Love Charley Pride shirt. The fans know where I love him, so I put that on today. And he just meant the world to me and to my family. I apologize, I'll get emotional, because we would have never gotten to where we are without him and Rozene and Dion and Craig and Angela and all the family and all the up at Czech and the people that supported us. And it's a huge deal. And I thank them. I know I talk too much. I could go on forever, but I should probably, since I do see that Larry Gatlin is one of the guys you have coming up, I should probably yield the rest of my time to Larry Gatlin. But I wanted to say, Rozene, we love you. Dion, we love you. And you're doing a great job with your mom. I know she couldn't be doing any of this without you, without that family support. A lot of us have been through the loss of family. So I appreciate it. And Ray and Neal and all you guys at the Rangers, it's a wonderful thing you're doing. And when I first reached out to Rozene about this, I don't know who put me in charge of it, but they put me in charge of talking to Rozene or finding out Rosene's thoughts on this thing. And so when I called her, she has already told you the way she felt, in that it is exactly what she said. She said, I think the Rangers organization could use that. And she said, if they'll do it right, I'd love to be a part of it. And we know that the guys y'all have got in place, Ray, and all these wonderful folks, Neal, and that they will do it right. And I think that's why Rozene is here, and just say, yes, y'all have my blessings. I want to see this flourish, because I know Charley would love to see it flourish. And I yield my time to Larry Gatlin.
Neal, thank you so much for your time and your testimony. It was beautiful. And I'd like to introduce another dear friend of Charley's. He needs no introduction, Mr. Garth Brooks.
Hey guys, I'm gonna get rid of this right here, whatever this is. So, okay. Hey man, just want to say how much everybody loved Charley. It's funny, Neal was talking about where he would be or wouldn't be without Charley Pride. I think we can all say that in country music for sure. Just love him. If I'm going to compare him side by side with someone else that I love to death, when you talk about baseball, you talk about what he's done for everybody, I'm going to put him in the class of Roberto Clemente, who's my all-time favorite guy. And he just loved people. That's what he did. And he showed that love to us. And so I think you got a great program here. Anytime you get to level the playing field, and then once it's level, those two people, whatever color of their skin, whatever gender, whatever their belief is, when they compete against each other, then it's a fair competition. May the best person win. That's what it sounds like you guys are setting up here. I'm all for it. Everybody at Teammates, the foundation, we've had a wonderful run with the Rangers, wonderful one with Miss Karen there with the Rangers organization as well. So count us in. If there's anything we can do, Miss Rozene, all my love to you. And just sure loved your husband a lot. You know that. So hats off to the Rangers. Thank you guys for, I don't know, time seems to erase everything, no matter how big. Charley Pride's name's never going to be erased, but you guys are making sure it's going to take a hell of a long time if that would ever happen. So just really proud to be part of this.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. We appreciate your time, and thank you for sharing those kind words. I'd like to, before I introduce one of our supporters of this program, we have Mr. Gatlin on. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Gatlin real quick.
Oh, he didn't unmute.
Or unmute. I don't know. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, sir.
Okay. I'd rather watch a AA baseball game than the Super Bowl. I mean, my grandfather taught me how to play baseball when I was a little kid. I know all the signs. And to me, and Garth made the allusion to the late, great Roberto Clemente. And I did an interview right after Charley passed. And I said, I believe Charley Pride is the Jackie Robinson of country music. You know, he did things, he had the courage, and with Rozene and the power of God behind him. Let's go ask Mickey Guyton or Darius Rucker or Kane Brown. Ask some of those young entertainers where they'd be without Charley Pride. So I first met him with Coach Darrell Royal many years ago, and I'm wearing my Texas. That's for Darrell and for Charley. And he said, I've heard some of your music, young man. I like it. I said, when were you born? I said, May. He said, I thought you were a Taurus. And every time we ever, he told me, I said, you're a Taurus. I said, yeah, I am, but I don't believe all that stuff, which is typical of a Taurus. And he just fell down. So any way I can be of assistance to Rozene and Dion and the Texas Rangers for this man's memory and what he's doing. He never saw color. He just saw Charley Pride was of the human race. Black, white, it didn't matter. He belonged to the human race. And I loved him for it. I missed him. We did a lot of shows. And God bless all of y'all. And whatever the Gatlin boys can do, just let us know. We'll be there.
We appreciate you, Mr. Gatlin. Thank you so much for being with us. I'd like to finally introduce Mr. Roland Parrish. Mr. Parrish is an entrepreneur, community leader, and he was honestly the first person to jump in and say, how can we help support this program? So I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Parrish.
First, I'd like to say to Miss Rozene, Luke 12:48, to whom much is given, much is required. It's going to be an honor for my company to partner with the Pride family and the Texas Rangers. It's kind of like reliving that movie, The Field of Dreams. And so never will we have a lineup like this that I can give a shout out to Mr. McCoy, Mr. Gatlin, and Mr. Brooks. And now I'm number 4, I'm cleanup, Roland Parrish. So that's also like living that Field of Dreams once in a lifetime. So my company, whenever we can, we like to support creating windows of opportunity. And I think Mr. McCoy talked about that quite a bit, that Mr. Pride liked to do that, creating opportunities for young minds through scholarships so they can live the American dream. And so this fellowship program will provide an opportunity for talented collegians to work for a unique business organization in the US, and that's a Major League Baseball team. And so Mr. Pride, Ms. Rozene, he was an inspiration. We know he was a participant in the legendary Negro Leagues and a lover of the game of baseball. You know, he was world famous, a Grammy Award winning artist, and we just love the things that he did. So again, it's a pride, it's a partnership. We look forward to this unique partnership for me and my company. Humbly submitted, Roland Parrish. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Parrish. We so dearly appreciate your support. You know, this is just one of many programs that are coming down the pipeline for us. I'd like to thank our front office again with our executive team, our HR department, and everyone that's been involved. I really appreciate everyone's time to be on the call. John, I'll turn it over to you. And one last thing, I am dropping the link for our fellowship program, our Charley Pride Fellowship Program, that is now live as of today. So we hope all of you can check it out and spread the good word. So John.
Okay, thank you, Ray. Great words there being spoken. So if you have a question for anybody here participating in our Zoom this morning, please raise your hand on your screen and I will call on you and direct the question. And please say who you're directing the question to. If you have any questions, please raise your hands now. Okay, we will start and go to Jeff Wilson of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram.
To Ray and to Neal Liebman, we had a conference call with John Daniels and right after all the racial injustice stuff started, and he talked about how he wanted to help and how the organization wanted to help. So I'm just wondering from a baseball side, who was involved in this helping get this off the ground?
Hey, Jeff, Neal, this was an organizational decision, starting with Ray Davis all the way down. Obviously, Karen is our executive director of the foundation. It needed to be situated in the foundation because it fits so nicely with our mission. And I hope you know that our organization has always been there to promote baseball, to promote minorities. We lead baseball in so many of those categories. So this was just a perfect fit for us.
Hey, Ray Casas, do you want to talk a little bit about the group that is involved in the council? And because there are a lot of baseball operations people involved.
Yeah, that's right. We have been working with all our departments internally. Once we created the council, we made sure that everyone, every representative from all of our baseball departments were a part of this council. We continue to share our stories. We all come from different backgrounds, and the best way to move forward is by listening and learning. And we believe that representation is important. And that's where we started with the council.
Okay, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Evan Grant, Dallas Morning News.
My question was not answered, but that's okay.
I guess, Neal, Liebman, this would be a good place to start with you here. But as you guys have kind of surveyed the landscape around you, this organization doesn't have in any executive roles any people of color among the senior vice presidents or executive vice presidents. Has that stuck out over the last year for you guys?
Evan, good morning. You know, it's a core commitment to our organization to be inclusive. For years, we led with women in our front office versus many of the other teams in Major League Baseball. As we do look around, and as you probably are aware, I chair the Major League Baseball, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. So it is one of the Rangers' core beliefs and my core belief that we have to bring people of color into the front office. That's not an easy task. You can't just snap your fingers and say, tomorrow we will have people of color. This Charley Pride Fellowship Program, and Charlie and I had talked about it last year, is the perfect gateway to bring young, excited talent, people of color into the organization as interns to train them, mentor them, and allow them to put them on the path to become front office executives. It's always a problem when you try to do it haphazardly. This will create the path for people of color to be in our front office and create that diversity that we would like to see. It's good for our organization, but it's better for baseball. So I say sadly, we can't fix it today, but we are on the right path to fix it, thanks to Charlie.
And what was your community, I'm sorry, your diversity community council's feedback in particular? I mean, was that brought up, this club? I'm looking at the front office, and I mean, it has a number of executive vice presidents who are female, and there have been a number of female leadership positions on the business side. But was this something that was specifically brought up, that there was a lack of people of color in leadership roles?
I may have to kick this to Karen since she chairs our Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee.
Hi, yeah, I can answer that. So, you know, as a whole, baseball, both on the field and off the field, while diverse in respect to the playing field with players from Latin American countries, part of the reason that we have the academy is to diversify that on the field component with people of color from the United States. From an inclusion council perspective, there were a lot of conversations had related to, you know, how to bring talent to the Rangers organization that wanted to work in baseball, that were passionate about the sport. And so it's twofold. Was there a discussion about executive roles? Yes, but as Neal spoke to, we do have a significant number of females in leadership roles, but we know that we have a ways to go. You know, one of the things that has resulted from this council is our new ticket development department went out and made 8 hires, and 5 of those hires were people of color. So I think it's a conscious effort that the organization is taking and moving forward. But as Neal said, it won't change tomorrow, but it's most definitely something that we're focused on. And we're also focused on, you know, making sure that we're partnering within the community, like with Mr. Parrish and with this program, to make sure that our outreach.
Thank you. I'll pass it along to the next person. I appreciate it.
Go to Levi Weaver, Athletic DFW. Go ahead, Levi.
Hey, I'm not sure if this is a question for Ray or Neal, but just whoever has the answer. There's a discussion, you know, a couple of weeks ago, I think, around the industry around unpaid internships and how sometimes they tend to sort of unfairly benefit people who have the means to do unpaid internships while somebody else is sort of keeping them afloat, and that tends to hurt people who come from low income families who don't have the luxury of doing that. And so I'm curious, as far as the mechanics of, you know, heard Neal talk about internships, I'm curious about the mechanics of it. And is that something you guys have considered? And can you kind of help me understand the mechanics of this program a little better?
Well, I think I'll just start off by saying we do not have unpaid internships. I actually think that's something that we've elected to do, and it subsequently became the law that you cannot have unpaid internships if they displace other people's roles. So it has always been a function that people should get paid for their work fairly. The internship program at the Rangers is fairly diverse and extensive. As for the second half of your question, I may shoot that over to Karen and how she's going to implement the fellowship program, which I semantically phrased as an internship program because I perceive them being one and the same.
Certainly. So the fellows will be paid. So that is part of what the foundation will cover. And they will be performing a little bit different than an traditional internship role. The idea is they will sit in high-level meetings and really get the inside look at the organization, so that be it they move on and work with the Rangers or within another team in Major League Baseball, that we're giving them that really inside look at the experience and what a front office looks like. The intern the Pride Fellows will rotate through 3 different departments during their and like Ray mentioned earlier, that's business operations, ballpark operations, baseball operations, marketing, accounting, PR. It's the entire organization has raised their hand and wants to have fellows. So whatever their area of interest, they'll be able to rotate through those areas and then also be paid as well.
Right on. Thank you so much.
And we will go to Kennedy Landry from MajorLeagueBaseball.com. Go ahead, Kennedy.
Hey, I think this is a Neal question, but I was just wondering how much Charley was involved with the process of creating this before he passed back in December.
This was Charley's idea, nobody else's. Charley came to us with, and I know he reached out to Ray and he talked to Karen within the organization. I spent quite a bit of time last year talking to him about developing a program where we can bring in interns, people of color throughout the organization. We talked about how do we get more African Americans involved in baseball on the field? How do we get them to play the game? How do we get them to enjoy baseball? We've seen a decline and we need to reverse that decline. It's America's sport and America is inclusive. So unless Ray or Karen want to interject, I don't think anyone in this organization is going to take the claim that it was their idea. I think this was Charley's idea.
Larry, you have
I have an interview for our appearance April 1st at Billy Bob's. It's marking the 40th anniversary since the night we opened Billy Bob's, and I'm sure we got to open it because Charley was already working someplace else, because they would have gotten one and only Charley Pride. So on behalf of the Gatlin brothers, to Rozene, Dion, and to the Rangers, anything we can do to help, from emptying ashtrays, going and getting coffee, singing the national anthem, or whatever, the Gatlin boys are in. So God bless you all. I'm going to go do that little interview and try to sell some hard tickets. And that's exactly what Charley and Rozene want me to do. God bless. Bye, y'all.
Ray or Karen, do you want to add to anything Neal said?
No, I think what Neal said is right. And I think you can see by the level of people that are on this call today, as well as Mr. Parrish stepping up and supporting the program, the excitement that's behind it. And, we really are seeking to get the message out in Charley's name to universities to get people to apply for this role. But you can see the passion and excitement behind it by all of Charley's friends being here today.
Okay, I'm going to go to Nui Scruggs of NBC5.
Wanted to ask this of Karen and Garth, and Garth had spoke about how to even the playing field, and just people needed a fair opportunity, and just, you know, how, Garth, how you came to that realization of that's what's needed, and Karen, you as well, as part of being a part of the program.
Karen, you want to go first?
Sure, thanks. You know, being a female in sports, I can speak to being, you know, maybe not the traditional employee of a baseball team, and understood that I had leaders and mentors that reached out their hand and helped me, both female and male mentors, that championed my case and championed my cause. And so personally, this type of program, I think, you know, we see all the kids that we work with at the academy, we see the kids we work with at our scholarship programs, and being able to bring that type of talent into the organization and having someone be able to give them a hand up so that they can have that mentor and have that opportunity. It's not easy to get a job in sports, just like many careers. And so having these kids have an opportunity to learn and then develop these mentorships and relationships with the front office executives will be huge as they move forward, be it if they choose baseball or if they choose something else. Hopefully we'll learn from each other, and we'll learn how to create a more inclusive environment, both at the Rangers, and hopefully they'll learn that, you know, that we're a place that they might want to have future employment.
Yeah, level playing field is what it's all about. Charley Pride, you first heard his voice. This is great. He's a great country singer that happened to be Black. That was it. So that's what you want. I don't think Miss Karen wants to be sitting in her seat because the Texas Rangers had to hire a female, right? So we have to, what you want to do is what's best for baseball. So what you want to do is get these people who love baseball and make sure that that playing field, whoever gets that job, is even. So what happens best there is the best person gets the job, and that's what's best for baseball. And that's why we love it. So in country music, doesn't matter anything about how you treat country music. Charley Pride treated country music better than anybody else. He just happened to be Black. So that's always been his message to me, is this world is big enough for all of us, and we are the best at what we do, and whatever we happen to be after that, we happen to be.
Rozene, do you want to add something?
The things I wanted to say, I know that this is a training program and we will bring minorities in, but I would like to not, let's not discredit the minority community by saying that there is not any qualified minority people to work in baseball. This is a wonderful program, and we know that it will improve the chances of minorities working in baseball, but there are some qualified already people out there that could work in it. And as far as country music, Garth brought up something that reminded me. They said that Pride is the Jackie Robinson of country music. The only difference is baseball chose Jackie Robinson. Pride chose country music himself. Country music did not choose him. He chose country music. And he loved people no matter what color, but he also did like to see minorities in positions where they should be. And I want to not discredit the minority community by saying that there's no qualified people to work already in baseball. But this is a wonderful program, don't get me wrong. We are so pleased, and Pride had talked about this often, you know, training people, getting people to that are qualified, and also young Black players, young Black men playing baseball.
That was one of the last things you said to me.
Yes, go ahead, Dion.
I know one of the last things that we talked about before he passed was, you know, we often talked about lineups, positions, and, you know, he brought up the percentage of minorities, particularly African Americans, that were not playing baseball anymore. And, you know, a lot of my heroes, I'm like Garth, my biggest influence for playing baseball was Roberto Clemente. I played right field and I wore number 9 for Reggie Jackson. So, you know, I had people to look up to, and I'm looking nowadays, and, you know, he brought the point to me that there's not a lot of people for young African-American boys to look up to anymore. And I had that pleasure, and I'd love to see that happen again.
Thank you. we'll go to Emily Jones of Fox Sports Southwest and Rangers Television.
Garth, this one is for you. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure you get approached by many people, many organizations to do things like this, to partner, to support, all that kind of stuff. What was it about this in particular that made you say yes?
Well, Charley Pride, first of all, and then if you know the Texas Rangers organization, sweet. But this is, any chance that we can get. It's always been an underlying problem, always has been, to even the playing fields. It always will be. I think some recent situations have brought light to that. So I think the question, and never ever tried to answer for the Texas Rangers when they said, are you aware of the problem? They are aware of it ahead of us, or this project wouldn't have been launched. So I think they're trying to do the best thing for baseball. And I got to tell you, whatever you're lucky enough to do, mine is country music. My job is to lay down my life for country music. My job is to put everything on the line for country music. Garth Brooks is way back there on the list. Country music's up front. And I think the Rangers and Charley Pride and this organization, Miss Rozene, I think they're putting baseball first here, because this is going to help baseball down the line.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any other questions before we conclude this morning? Okay, I think we're good. We have sent out the press release, which has all the details. So if you have any questions, you can let me know, or let the Rangers Communications Department know. I just want to thank everybody on the call today. Neal Liebman, Rozene Pride, Garth Brooks, Neal McCoy, Larry Gatlin, Roland Parrish, and the great work that Karen Morris and Ray Casas have done on this program. So thank you, everybody, for participating this morning. You all have a great day. Thank you.